I'm Sydney Stringham 19, joined with Sam and Charlie, and we are doing ours on the models of Tesol instruction. The two models we looked at are ESL pull-out and ESL push-in, which we'll go into further. So a background on ESL pull-out. The English language learners are pulled out of regular mainstream classrooms for special instruction in their learning their second language. In the model, ELLs are matched based on proficiency level. So they'll be partnered or paired or grouped with people that are kind of at their same proficiency. They can help each other out too. This model begins very broadly, focusing on survival or basic skills. As students progress, the teacher may begin to focus on more specialized aspects of curriculum and language. So kind of the first focus is kind of getting them ready for the English classroom, and then after that, they can kind of start building on content. As ELLs progress, students of similar ages should be grouped together for effective content learning. It's also very beneficial for social learning to be with peers of the same age so they can kind of build on their English social skills.
Right. If you had a first grader who was the same level as, say, a sixth grader, it would make no sense to put them in the same ELL classroom because their content's going to be completely different.
Definitely. Makes sense to me. ELL push-in, the background for that, it brings the ESL teacher into the regular mainstream classroom to provide ESL instruction to a group of students. The ESL teacher works to assist their ELLs with the lesson or modify to the student's needs. The ESL teacher's role may be expanded to assist the whole class. Their skills for comprehension can be utilized for the whole mainstream students. So this is kind of more of they're exposed to English and that content as if they were native speakers, and the ESL teacher helps them with any language gaps or content they may not understand because of the language barrier.
Okay, so now going into the advantages and disadvantages of the ESL pull-out model. Some of the advantages are that it allows for a smaller group instruction, and that gives the students more individualized attention and just gives them more opportunities to speak and participate compared to possibly like a whole mainstream classroom that could have more students. And the teachers in an ESL pull-out model will be specialized and qualified in what they're doing. And overall, it could help the students lessen their anxiety and also help them like develop a routine throughout their day. Some of the disadvantages could be that the students would miss out on some of the classroom content. So when they're pulled out of their mainstream classroom, they might not be like covering all the same things and missing some of the content covered. They could also be missing out on some of the socialization aspects of a whole classroom and also communicating and just getting to know more native English speakers. From a teacher perspective, there are some communication obstacles between the classroom teacher and the ESL teacher. Since they're not in the same classroom, they'll definitely have to prepare and kind of come together and communicate what things were covered and talk about specific student needs. And then also disadvantages could be that the ESL students may feel a bit like ostracized or just different from being, pulled out of the mainstream classroom. Okay, some of the advantages and disadvantages of the push-in ESL model. Some of the advantages could be that students attend mainstream classes in subjects where they feel more comfortable. They could really like their homeroom, and not having to like move around throughout the day is a benefit. And students spend more time with one-on-one instructions compared to the mainstream classroom. And this model also allows for more co-teaching opportunities that support the ELL needs. And this could be even the ESL teacher running an activity or instruction and the mainstream teacher supporting. Kind of depends on the school. And some disadvantages could be that the students, again, may feel kind of like outsiders compared to non-ELLs, even though the push in the ESL teachers in the classroom, they might be like off to the side or just doing something different. So the ELL students are definitely more like singled out. And again, they could be missing out on some curriculum that the mainstream teacher is going over that the ESL teacher isn't necessarily going over. And then social development also may lack just from limited exposure to native English speakers or just a larger group in general. And then comparing the two push in and pull out models, some of the similarities, obviously they're both aimed at developing English, grammar, vocabulary, communication skills, and it's not specific to academic subjects. And the students are part of the mainstream classroom for part of the curriculum instruction in both models. They're still going to be part of the mainstream classroom either way. A few of the differences is that in the push-in model, the students tend to spend less time in the mainstream classroom than the pull-out. And push-in tends to take place in more social studies and science classrooms. And push-in may also require additional teacher collaboration compared to pull-out, so the co-teaching that I was discussing earlier.
So this is a video. It's an example of the pull-out model. We're not going to get into it. It's a long video, but it shows about what happens in an ELL designated classroom. The video goes through a lesson in a pull-out ELL classroom. In these classrooms, teachers can focus on specific language goals for their students. The goals are more individualized, and they can work on curriculum with their students. Students get to socialize and develop language skills with their ELL peers. So for example, in the video, they talk about, I believe, some terms they would hear in the ocean. I remember splash being a big point in the video and why that's how they communicate that. And you can really work on those individualized vocabulary words and social skills and language goals that the students and you have. In a much shorter video, it's an example of the push-in model. Is an interview with a teacher, an ELL teacher, and it talks about how push-in models operate. And this ELL students are mixed in with mainstream classrooms as to not feel isolated from their native speaking peers. As the lesson is taught, the ELLs may be grouped with the ELL specialists, as well as some native speaking students. And again, that is because either it may seem beneficial to have the ELL students work with more advanced students, or they feel that those native speaking students would benefit from additional support. And this model allows for students to socialize and develop both social and academic language skills simultaneously. So in conclusion, the two models, pull out and push in, have a variety of advantages and disadvantages. Oftentimes, schools will utilize both based on schedule and individual needs of the student. Both models aim to increase second language acquisition. However, the means of obtaining that acquisition is different depending on the model. The pull-out model tries to create a specialized space for ELLs to interact with other ELLs of similar proficiency and focus on language goals. The push-in model aims to develop second language social skills through classroom experiences. Both models have their benefits and should be utilized to bring out the best in the school's ELL population.
And then here are references. And that is the end of our presentation.